This is Agent 47. He has been sent to find John. Unfortunately, John has not landed on the correct planet. Coming down from the International Space Station, he landed on a different one. So we have sent Agent 47 to find him. There was a bug on the craft, and it came down on another planet. So we're very upset. Agent 47 was 1 kilometer tall, made of tinfoil and string. On the planet Zog, it was necessary, because we needed to get back John, because he'd fallen out of the International Space Station and landed on the wrong planet. His only way to get off this planet was to get to a beacon that we'd sent there. Unfortunately, it was some distance, and John could be in trouble. We did send craft down to try to get him, but the weather conditions were too bad. So we left Agent 47 to try to find him in this vast and uncompromising sort of landscape. Unfortunately, the planet Zog was a very dangerous planet. Lighting was always going to be a difficulty on the planet Zog because it had 3.8 billion moons. So the lighting was quite spectacular at different times through its like cycle around some kind of sun. But of course, the Magongas, who actually ruled this land, had no problem with 3.8 billion moons, and they knew nothing of the International Space Station or John, but they could sense that something had come down on their planet, and they would be very upset, and they would be looking around to try to detect what it was. Of course, it was John. He'd fallen from the International Space Station. He was actually up there getting air, and somehow had managed to get through the firmament. The Van Alba belt of Zog. We don't know how we done that in NASA. We're very curious. Now, Agent 47, as I say, was made out of string and tin foil, and he was about 1 kilometer tall. Now, it seemed to me that there was some kind of tracking device that was trying to find Agent 47. Luckily, he was well built and camouflaged, and as you can see from this footage we got from a fallen observational device from, not the Magulas, but the Magongas, it was pretty bad. Anyway, John had managed to escape, and a thrust of air had blown him. By the way, that was a spacecraft looking for John, and a thrust of air had blown him to another part of the planet Zog, and he came down with quite a tumble. The gravity was very strange, so he came down a few times basically, and he landed quite safely. But the flowers gave off a signal to let the inhabitants of the. Now, the Magongas were very, very angry, anyone that would come into their turf. As I say, they killed all the Magulas off, leaving just 2. And John knew that he was on the planet Zog, and he could be in trouble unless he sort of somehow found his way to the escape craft that we sent down there. Unfortunately, John was only 100 foot tall, and the Magongas were very, very aggressive. Again, we tried to find him with spacecraft from the International Space Station. We had a few spare. But John basically had to try to get out of there himself. Now, he was familiar with the terrain because he observed that there were some satellites that were orbiting the planet Zog, not bumping into any of the 3.8 billion moons, so that was good. And John realised that the only way he could get out would be to use these satellites as a kind of GPS and actually find a way off the planet Zog, so he could actually come back to Earth. And resume work with the International Space Station. He had not got enough oxygen up there, and the astronauts needed some more oxygen, and John was going to get it up to them if we could get him back. Now, he inspected one particular satellite, and he was fairly confident that this was the one that could get him home. Unfortunately, the Magongas had now found out that he was there, and they wanted to get him. Had now found out that he was there, and they wanted to get him. So whether or not John actually gets off the planet Zog and escapes the Magongas, and gets back to Earth is yet to be found out. So please tune in for next Wednesday, and we'll see what happens to John, who works for the International Space Station.